Let's get into your markets news now. Asian markets traded largely higher today. Following the US markets cue, the Nikkei share average rose 2.06%. The Hang Seng index closed down by 1.27%. While on the mainland China, we saw the Shanghai Composite Index end up the session 1.28%. Over in the United States, Wall Street's major stock indexes rose on Wednesday. The benchmark S&P 500 scaled a record high as investors applauded overall strength in U.S. earnings and monitored policymaker comments for clues on the interest rate outlook. The S&P 500 gained 0.82%. The Nasdaq Composite gained 0.95%, while the Dow Jones Industrial Average rose by 0.4%. On the JSE is red across the board at this hour. The all-share index has shed 0.4% to 73,985 points. The Industrial 25 index is 0.5% down. Financials have weakened by 0.4%. The top 10 resources index has declined by 0.4%, and the precious metals and mining index has lost 3%. The rand is currently trading at 18 rand 95 against the US dollar, 23.93 against pound sterling, and 20 rand 42 against the euro. Looking at commodities, gold is trading at around $2,030 and platinum is trading at $879 per ounce, while the price of Brent crude oil is hovering around $84 a barrel. Let's take a look at the markets with us. I'm joined by Roy Mutuni. He's a portfolio manager at Sanlam Investments. A very good afternoon, Roy. Thank you very much for joining us. So what would you say are the key drivers that are pushing markets today?
Hi, Nompu. Thanks for having me. So I think on the upside, what you're seeing is that rand weakness and also a couple of the company results announced today driving the performance of the market. So British American Tobacco is your best performing stock today. It's up about 6% on the back of its results. Anheuser-Busch as well had good guidance. And then there's an inkling of rand hedge that is on the up. On the down, what we're seeing is the platinums selling off quite significantly, with Anglo-Plats well down on the back of recent production updates. So on balance, market is down about 50 basis points. It's the rand hedges that are winning and the precious metals that are selling.
How concerned are you about the platinum group metals type of companies, especially those that don't diversify beyond that?
Well, the thing about platinum group metals is that over the past 1 year, what you've seen is a significant drop in the prices. The good thing is you haven't seen their balance sheets get messed up like they used to, increasing lots of debt, cash flow being impaired. So they actually went into this downturn very, very strong. And I think what you're probably going to see is them starting to curtail production. As they curtail production, then demand and supply comes better into balance, and then you'll see the company starting to do a whole lot better. So the good thing that you're seeing right now is that they're not near bankruptcy. They're not near having balance sheet distress. The difficult thing is it's very difficult to call when this commodity price will keep coming down. But like I said, once you start hearing announcements of production curtailments, then you'll know the bottom is somewhere near, and we probably are somewhere there as we speak.
We're often told that, international investors as well as local investors look to government policy for certainty. And today is going to be a big day in terms of the SONA, where we get a sense of what the ruling party's policy is going to be towards the country and what their plan of action is for this year. What are markets anticipating, if anything?
The cynical side of me would say nothing new. The main thing I think markets are looking for, and you and I as citizens are looking for, a guide to when the election date would be, because a lot of things will fall in place once we have that number. But that said as well, because of that looming election and because of the podium it gives the president, I think expect to see a lot of discussion around the progress he has made with structural reform around logistics, around electricity, that sort of thing. Again, because of the election, you may also hear a lot of conversation around the social support net, whether it's basic income grants or the NHI or things that are there to take the pressure off those less fortunate in society. But I really don't think you see substantial change or a substantial change in direction from what we already know.
Okay, all right, Roy. And then let's just move to one counter while we have time. ArcelorMittal, they released their annual financial results, reporting a 1.9 billion headline loss. What are the factors that have weighed down on this company, and how does it affect the wider economy?
So that loss was slightly better than was previously expected, but the driver of the loss has been lower commodity prices, which has been driven by lower demand and then growing Chinese exports. And this is a global thing. So operationally, they actually had pretty reasonable production numbers. But the lower commodity price is exactly what hurt them. Plus, they also now accounted for the first time for the sale of their Kazakhstan business, which impacted the numbers a bit more. I think what was more significant in this result was the fact that they decided they were not going to shut down their long products business as they had previously guided, because they can see the social impact this is going to have. And what they've basically said is they want to continue engaging with stakeholders and government to see how best to handle this. Remember what they said previously was, if they shut down that business, the balance of the group would be a lot more sustainable and viable. But the problem with shutting it down is that it has significant social ramifications. So I think what they're doing is they're reaching out to stakeholders and basically saying, let's share this pain out, make us sustainable, we'll be able to give back to the community, and on the back of that, we'll have a viable business that can grow when the economy starts picking up.
Yeah. And one last one, Curo Holdings, the education player, they came out with a trading update. They see headline earnings per share going up anything between 26 and 37%. Not bad, not too shabby, but what do you think of this particular counter?
So that headline number was probably better than we were expecting, better than the market was expecting. But there were a couple of things that maybe make you think a little bit more. They had to impair the valuation of some of their schools because of low demand. So the recruitment isn't as good as they expected it to be. Plus, they had to increase fees in high schools because of, I guess, rising costs and all of that. But then that meant that the enrollment wasn't as aggressive as it should have been. So what you probably have is cash-strapped parents moving their kids out of these schools at the higher levels and taking them to cheaper schools. So a little bit of good news on the absolute on the absolute bottom line number, but a little bit of a concern when looking forward around that, around those enrollments and what direction they'll take. Particularly in those higher classes.
Roy, thank you so much for your time and insights there. Roy Mutuni, he's a portfolio manager at Sanlam Investments.